Hey guys, welcome to The Clip. It is an exciting episode because we are launching for 2023. It is January. We've got the whole year ahead of us, and I'm super excited for what's in store for you guys this year. I really think that there's going to be some amazing things coming out of this year, 2023, and we're kicking it off with a great topic today. So I'd love to introduce our guest for today. This is John. He's a PT, and today we're talking about personal health because we definitely are often thinking about that at the start of the year. We've just had our Christmas feast and bit of a New Year's party, and we're probably thinking we're going to get back on track. And Brian's here as well.
I am here as always.
As usual, this amazing man alongside of me. But yeah, well, let's hear from you, John. Let's hear about your background in personal training and as a young adult.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. My name's John. I'm 27. Married to Shanice. We have one son named Seth.
Come on.
And then, serving at Kingdom Hope, working as a personal trainer. Yeah, I've been in that gig for the past 5 years now. So
cool.
Yeah,
so good.
And then how did you get into personal training? Like what sparked the thought to get into that sort of space?
Yeah, funny enough, I was working, all in itself a great job, but it just wasn't for me. I was always thinking, labouring hard every day, thinking about if I'm going to do this for the next 40, 50 years. And fitness was actually that thing in my life that was always super consistent that I loved doing. Multiple people said, why are you here? A lot of people would come up to me and ask for fitness advice all the time. They said, why don't you do personal training? I reckon that would suit you really well. And I said, oh, yeah, I'll have a look into it. And yeah, sure enough, I did. And funny enough, the company actually had to let a lot of guys go. So I was made redundant, and that was kind of the push into, I'm doing personal training. Let's go for it. So
yeah, nice.
Wow.
Yeah, it worked out really well. God had his hand on it the whole time.
Yeah.
So
oh, that's awesome.
That's
and then
great.
did you have to do any, education or training to get into it? Like what did that look like?
Yeah, 100%. So the minimum to personal train 101 is a Cert 3 and 4 in fitness. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I went through that, enjoyed the process, and then got stuck into a large commercial gym and kind of learned the ropes. And you think it's going to be one thing, and then you're in there and it's another thing, but you learn through a lot of the stuff that you have to get through to grow a business. It's not just teaching people how to train; it's a lot of business as well, and being really relational with people. But I love every aspect of the job. It's been great.
That's so good. And John's local to our church. You're training people in a gym local to Beanley area.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
which is really exciting.
Yeah,
so
it's great.
Sneaky
it's a great
plug
spot.
if you're looking for a good gym.
Yeah, Gym 4, hit them up. Man. It's good.
I was going to say, what do your clients look like? As in, sort of age or background? Who comes to Johnny to train?
Yeah, it's a wide variety. I've got some really young adults that I train, male and female, and all the way up to some more mature 50, 60-year-old clients. And they're all a great bunch. They're super loyal. I'm super blessed to have great clients. Yeah. God's really looked over my business and put the right people in my path, so I'm super thankful.
That's so good.
That's amazing.
And what's your favorite fitness activity to participate in? What really gives you the most excitement?
Yeah, I love teaching people boxing. That's a passion of
That'd
mine. I think it's an area that a lot of people find tricky and never think they would enjoy, but once they do, they start getting the hang of it, they start enjoying it a bit more.
And it's good cardio, hey?
Oh, it's great. It's a great full body workout. Also, I love teaching people, body weight training as well as different powerlifting exercises, things like that. Just a good little range.
Boxing's got a lot that goes into it. Hey.
Oh yeah, it's a workout for the mind too, and it builds a lot of coordination, and it's good fun. It's good fun seeing people struggle at the start, having a bit of a laugh at themselves, and then coming good after a couple of sessions and really enjoying it. So it's good fun.
Yeah, I haven't really done boxing PT, but I remember there's a class that Les Mills does. It's called Body Combat, and it's like just throwing air punches. But to be honest, when you first do the class, they've got all these combos, and you just look like just look like a piece of spaghetti throwing yourself around. It's pretty great.
It's fun to watch.
Yeah, it's good. It'd be good to see people progressing into a lot of technique and stuff. Yeah. So I think in January we're thinking, gosh, okay, what are my goals for the year? Often people have a goal maybe 1 or 2 goals around their personal health, maybe eating, their mental well-being,
Sure.
and maybe fitness as well. Maybe they want to get out and actually get active a bit more. So what would you kind of say to encourage some of those people that have got some of those goals? What do you find, what do you find is most important around when you're considering that and how to sustain those goals?
I think a couple of things. It's definitely, if you've got a goal, write it down and then put it somewhere visible that you're going to see a couple of times a day.
Great.
Yeah.
Even write an affirmation about that goal that you're going to repeat out loud to yourself, particularly in the mornings. I think is super helpful.
Yep.
Yeah.
When it comes to the actions to achieve that goal, I think the most important thing is just starting small, trying to find the minimum effective dose that's going to help you progress towards the goal.
That's great.
It's so easy for people to say, I want to drop 10 kilos because I ate like a pig all Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to slog myself for 2 hours every day, 6 days a week, and it's just not sustainable.
That's true.
I always say to a lot of my clients, consistency over intensity. So it's about being consistent at a level that you can sustain for a long time. Versus
Sorry, say that again. Consistency over intensity.
Consistency over intensity.
Great.
Yeah. And so the person
That's
that
great.
shows up to the gym and does the right amount of work consistently is going to outperform the person that shows up and thrashes themselves and then has to take half a week off to recover.
There'd be science behind that as well. Hey.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Like your body can like if let's say you're doing 20 sets of squats, for example,
Whoa.
your body might be able to take 20 sets of squats,
Sure.
but that's not necessarily effective dose.
Yeah.
So you might only need 5 to 10.
Yeah.
But all you're doing by doing 20 is just wasting time and just beating up your body unnecessarily.
Energy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Longer recovery. Hey.
Yeah, exactly. There's no point. So just finding the minimum effective dose, I think, is super important.
Yep.
Being able to do that in a sustainable way, and then just having a really strong reason why you're doing it in the first place, and reminding yourself of that goal.
That's great.
I definitely can see the importance of visibility as well. I think that's a great point that you've highlighted as well. Like making it like visible, whether it's in your bedroom or on the fridge or somewhere that you're actually going to look and see is really in the car. Yep. Yeah, that's good.
The world's a busy place and it's easy to get
Yeah.
distracted. So if you don't have your goals clearly laid out and you're reminding yourself of it, it's easy to float along and just forget them eventually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how specific do you have to be with that why? Because I guess I'm looking back over my restarts, of the beginning of the year, thinking I've only really often said, because I feel like I've put on too much weight, I want to be healthier. But that seemingly hasn't carried me always into where I want to get to. So like how in depth does that why have to be? What's some examples that you could maybe share of like why people actually commit to the fitness journey, to the healthy journey?
Sure. Yeah, I think when you're creating or when you're figuring out what your why is, like you want to make it as clear and as concise as possible.
Yeah.
You want to stack as much of it in your favor as possible. So when you write out a goal, I always ask my clients, like when they're telling me a goal, like, why do you want to get healthy? Why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want to achieve this? Why do you want to achieve that? And then I'll generally get them to write it out or even do it then in their own time and again, put it somewhere visible.
Yeah.
I think you want to make that as specific as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, like an example, obviously someone can say I want to lose 10 kilos and feel better about myself.
Yeah.
Upon that, it could be I want to have more energy to play with my kids, or I want to be more effective in my ministry. You know what I mean? I want to have more energy to run through the day and get things done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to feel better about myself. I want to inspire other people in my life.
Yeah.
So you can quickly rack up 10 to 20 whys for a goal.
Yep.
If you've got 10 to 20 of them, that's going to hold you to that goal much better than if you said, I want to look good on a beach. You know what I mean? Or
It actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah. As in having like more, the more whys you've got behind there means that you've got a stronger reason or a stronger why of like,
I think of a bit of a pattern, and I don't know whether it comes from the culture around this, is that I just see that a lot of people are more concerned about getting to that goal because of their body image, because they want to, and that's fair enough. But I think I've seen, and my own personal story is like just getting to that point where I feel better about myself isn't good enough. Like to get me there, that isn't a strong enough why. It's a pretty strong why, but it essentially, I think I'd get to a place where I maybe slip up a couple of times and go, it's all too hard,
Yeah.
or I've come this far, I'll settle here, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because society's put a lot of pressure on us around our body image, I think.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
But even around that, I think maybe speaking to accountability, like what's the role of that? I mean, you're a PT, so you're pretty strong on that. But what are maybe the benefits of accountability for someone?
Well, what is accountability for someone who doesn't know what
the benefits
it is?
like?
Yeah. I think accountability is it's huge when it comes to achieving anything in life. You should always have someone that you're accountable to. Obviously a personal trainer for health, but maybe that is even just a good friend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, a good friend, a good mentor that you can go to, and someone that just doesn't say like, oh, you know, you messed up, it's okay, try again next time. It just says, hey, this was a goal that you set, you know, let's work hard. You know what I mean? Like someone that's actually going to tell you when you're slipping up, like, hey, it's time to do a bit better, it's time to put a bit more priority into this, you know what I mean? Something like that. You have to have the right accountability partner. But yeah, it is super important for sure. And some people need more accountability than others. Some people are super self-accountable. It's gonna differ person to person.
Yeah. I think also looking back, surrounding yourself with people who share those similar
absolutely
views it's just great.
Yeah, 100%. You got to find your tribe. You got to, you know, the power of association. If you're hanging around with people that don't prioritize their health, and that's something you want to be,
true.
How much harder is your environment to achieve your goal now? So yeah, you've got to align yourself with the right people in life for sure.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Yeah, really good.
Great. And would you say to sustain that motivation, because initially you're pretty on fire for being healthy, and to sustain that motivation, is it really just coming back to the why and the goals and having the accountability? Is there anything else that helps sustain that motivation?
Yeah, I think those are two of the really big ones, is having someone to remind you and be accountable to, and then having something in front of your face every day. Yeah. But I think like motivation for everyone looks different. You know what I mean? Like I think some people are very self-motivated intrinsically, and then other people more extrinsically. So they need more of an external help with motivation. And you've kind of got to do a little bit of searching within yourself to figure out what works for you. So for me, like, I don't need that much extrinsic motivation. Like, I'm a bit more extrinsic. But someone else maybe not. And they need to potentially set short-term goals, more short-term goals that are going to keep them motivated in the interim to leading to that big-term goal.
Yeah, and that's probably what I was going to touch on then, is like progress. Like, you know, progress is really important with a lot of things, but when it comes to, you know, personal health, like seeing, you know, progress or yourself moving forward with your goal is obviously like really important as well for momentum.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. You know, make short, medium, and long-term goals. You know, don't just I want to lose 20 kilos. You know, that could take you a whole year. Yeah, you know what I mean. Along the way,
at least half a year if you're doing it like well.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Depends how quickly you want to lose it. You know, what that 20 kilos is going to look like too. You know, if you do it too fast. So I definitely think setting short-term goals. And definitely focusing on progress. Don't just focus on hitting your goals all the time and celebrating solely when you hit a goal. I think even that can sometimes be really hard. I think you need to track your progress. I think that's a huge understated thing is if you're wanting to achieve anything with your health, track everything. Track everything, make that a habit, and then you can easily see how you're progressing, what needs tweaking, what needs changing.
Great.
And that's another motivating thing in itself.
No, that's
great. For people that need more motivation, tracking is really important.
For visibility again. And when you say tracking, like for someone who's like, well, what does that mean? Like, maybe speak to the different ways people do track their progress. Yeah, so probably the most obvious one would be tracking your calories. All right, tracking how much you're consuming, tracking what you're consuming. That might look like a journal, food journal. Another thing is tracking your workout. So how many sets you're doing, how many reps you're doing, how long did you go for a walk, how far did you run, things like that. If you're just leaving it up to your memory, you're stuffed. You know what I mean? I can't remember what I ate for breakfast 3 days ago. You know what I mean? Let alone what workout I did. You know, a week ago. You gotta. If you want to take it seriously and you want to see consistent progress rather than short bursts. You need to track and you need to be on top of that. Because then you get to a point where you're like, I think I'm running further, but I don't know. And sometimes when you look at it, you're like, I'm running like a whole extra 2 kilometers than what I first did. Or I don't walk in that 5 kilometer stint. And I used to, but that's all somewhere to look back on. And that data doesn't lie. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't. Whereas your feelings will betray you. Like, oh, I'm having a bad day. It's so true. I look at myself in the mirror, I don't feel great. But if you look at your tracking and you're like, oh, wow, I've progressed this much in a month. That's amazing. You know that's important. That's really, I really like that you highlight that feelings will mislead you, misguide you. Because they are much more subjective. 100%. That's good. And then maybe what about like rewards? Like I've heard some people say, you know, it's really important to reward the progress or the success or whatever that looks like. But what do rewards look like for you when you're, leading or coaching different people?
It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Some people thrive off rewards, some people don't.
Okay.
But I definitely think, yes, if you're one of those people that really loves rewards and working towards something and rewarding yourself, then I think definitely making something regular around a certain amount of progress or a certain goal, and that could be anything that motivates you, really. Try and keep it within reason. I ate healthy all week, so now I'm going to blow it on the weekend and have a giant, cheat meal or whatever. And try and keep the reward
reasonable,
somewhat reasonable and in line with your goal.
Or even it could be an experience, though. Like it doesn't necessarily have to. It can be
It can be anything.
It can be anything. Yeah.
New activewear.
Yes, exactly. But for some people, rewards will actually change their motivation, and it just becomes about achieving a reward versus about enjoying the actual progress and the journey.
Yeah.
So you've kind of got to figure out like what kind of person you are and what works for you. They've actually found that sometimes rewarding people for doing something that they maybe already enjoy actually takes some of the enjoyment out of the task itself.
Right.
Wow.
So,
very interesting.
Yeah. So you've
and
got
also, do you find that sometimes people are only there when there's a reward? So I guess if you want to develop this as a long-term, lifelong pattern, habit, if you all of a sudden stop rewarding yourself, people can drop that
they drop
completely.
Off. Yep, 100%. Wow. Yeah, you got to find enjoyment in the progress.
That's really
and
good.
in the process. You know what I mean? It's itself.
It's maybe something I haven't fully embraced yet. So maybe something I can start to learn, because I'm always. I think I've always set goals, rewarded myself, but then when it's happened, I'm like, oh, I did that, dust my hands, and I'm like,
it's easy
and
to
I go
do.
back to where I was before.
Easy to do.
And it's definitely like, I would say a transferable principle, because when it comes to, saving money, like you got to enjoy the process of like saving or getting it toward a certain goal, whatever that is. And even in, faith, whether it's like spiritual transformation, that takes time, and you got to enjoy the journey of like who you're becoming, and, what does that look like? And I think, enjoying the journey is a really big one, like not just focusing on the destination or not just focusing on the end, because then, you can undervalue like the process or not have a great time.
100%.
Yeah.
And then I guess there's a very much a mental element to being healthy as well. So it's like we've talked a lot about the body and like maybe fitness and like a little bit about diet and things like that. But what about that mental health, like in your opinion?
Yeah,
you come across that a lot as a PT. Is that is that like 80% of your job?
Yeah, it's funny. Like I was saying, like you go into a job thinking it's one thing and it's sometimes a complete other thing. A huge part of my job is almost being like a counselor. And helping people get through some mental demons that they've got about their health and their well-being and stuff like that. So it's definitely, it's huge. I almost dare say it's probably the bigger portion of it.
Wow.
To some extent. But yeah, it is massive, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of consistency again. And then, it takes planning. For example, Brian, you might like running and I might like boxing. You know what I mean? That works for you, and that's fun. You know what I mean? With working on your mental health. Yeah. Again, there's going to be different habits that hit harder for you than for me. So again, you've got to self-reflect and think about, all right, what's going to work for me? And then there's a bit of trial and error in the process as well.
Yeah, I like that trial
for
and error
sure.
idea.
Yeah.
I guess too, in that vulnerable space where people are exercising, that's a lot of like they're decompressing, aren't they? Like while they're exercising, they're
tears.
unloading, and like your body even. I done a bit of learning about how your body actually stores and holds trauma. Sure. So sometimes as you like exercise, move, like loosen up that tension, like you actually have fully experiences where you might want to just really open up and go, oh yeah. And I guess you're not going to get to the gym or get outside for a walk if you're suffering like mentally.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're really struggling with concentration, motivation, focus. So
yeah, well, I was even going to say part of the job is probably trying to help get your clients to the gym or try and get your clients to an actual session, because it's one thing to actually rock up. Like it's another thing to kind of be motivated as well once they're there. So, I mean, you probably got to do a bit of that like throughout the week of like reminding your clients, hey, like, let's go. Like
100%.
We've organized this time. Like,
Yeah, the same principle when if you're going for a long run, and halfway through the run, you've got a stitch and you're feeling sore and everything's hurting. It's the mind that breaks before the body. So it's the same with your health too. So that I can tell like when someone's starting to mentally check out of achieving their goals health-wise, well before their body starts giving up. So so it's definitely something that requires constant maintenance, constant work. I think it's that area. If you're not working to improve your mental health, more often than not, it's you going backwards. So,
that's a good point.
So you're basically saying you're never stagnant. You're either kind of moving forward or you're moving backwards with your mental health. And
I think that's a lot of areas in life. You know what I mean? I think if you're not putting in the effort to go forward, most likely it's not going to just sit there and stay there. It'll start regressing. So.
That's true. Wow. And then I guess in that example where you're feeling the pain as on the run, is that like a matter of training and like developing a pain threshold, like kind of not intentionally putting yourself in that, but obviously you're in a space where you're consistently experiencing that point. Yeah. And what does that look like? Like how do you develop that threshold? Like how do you push it forward?
Well, I think it will develop in time through just learning resilience through training and pushing yourself slowly. Like don't go too crazy too quick again. Yeah. Consistency over intensity.
Yep.
I think again, it comes down to your why. It comes down to your daily habits that you have around mental health. Like you can't expect to push through that bit where you need some resilience if you've had 2 hours sleep. And you're not feeding it, and you're not feeding your mind good things. Like it's a huge biblical principle to protect what goes into your 100%. Mind. You know what I mean? So I think that's for me. That's been definitely the biggest thing that's helped me in my mental health is making sure I'm filtering, all the bad stuff out and blocking all that stuff from even getting in, so I don't have to deal with it in the first place. Yeah. And making sure all the good stuff's going in. And then you're going to have much more resilience when it comes to those times where you got to push yourself. Yeah. Than if there's bad stuff taking up that room in your mind that you don't need. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's not even, I say bad stuff, but I mean, it's just general junk. That you don't need. It doesn't add any value to your life. Yeah.
For example, like if,
I was going to say watching news.
Watching news.
It's a big one.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how many young adults are watching the news, maybe. But
John's got some older clientele.
But yeah, like staying up, watching, a heap of Netflix till 2, 3 a.m., not getting to sleep and then trying to get yourself to the gym and trying to sustain that habit.
Yeah, swap out some screens for some books and some healthy, some good healthy podcasts and things like that. Put the right stuff in. Yeah. And the right stuff will come out for sure.
Obviously, anyone listening to the clip today is already on track with that.
I know. They've got one input down track.
Yeah, 100%. They're on the right track.
Especially if you're listening on the 3rd of January. 3 days after New Year's. You're like right into it.
Yeah, it's ready to go.
That's good.
Yeah. So, no, that's really great. I think I'm getting a picture that it's a really holistic approach. You've got to look at like your whole life. Like how much sleep are you getting? What are your goals? Why? What about, and I'm thinking like my whys would be like, being healthy, being a healthy wife, being a fit and active mum.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I think a lot of people would be motivated for the sake of those around them. Especially their close family and different things like that. I know in a marriage, it's really important to be like healthy, because it just overall helps your marriage in general. Yeah. And that's something that's not always like highlighted, I guess, when we talk about marriage and things like that.
Yeah.
So
true. And then, like if there was someone listening today as well and like maybe they're struggling with their mental health or, other things, is there any small tips or pieces of advice for someone who, maybe they think that they want to take a step, but like, going for the run's too hard, boxing's too hard. Like, what's some small step that they could take if they're really like struggling for motivation to start this year?
For sure. I'd definitely say, pray. And get some wisdom in which direction to go. I would definitely say get an accountability partner. Maybe that's you're like in your mental health. Maybe you go see a counselor. You invest in a counselor and invest in your mental health, and you go do that. You know what I mean? Maybe if that's too big a step, you go find a wise friend that's going to tell it how it is sometimes. And, you do that. You get some help on side.
Yes.
If you can. You know what I mean?
That's really good.
And obviously first go to God with prayer. And cover it with prayer. Let God into these aspects of your life. And they'll go much better for sure.
That's great.
And like you were saying, Em, like about your marriage, like your marriage is your ministry. You know what I mean? Your friendships is your ministry. Your workplace is your ministry. You know, to be more effective in those ministries, health and mental health is such a huge portion of it.
Yeah. And I just all round can think of so many examples, yourself included, of people who are healthy and they are actually kicking many goals in life because that part of their life is sorted. Yep. And we don't want to get to that place where we're sick and run down and then realizing, oh, I should have looked after my health. Yeah, like we actually want to be proactive about that, so we can be great husbands, wives, friends, great employees. Like that would be awesome, and we can run long term in these things because health is all about the long term. It's all about
definitely
still being healthy when we're 60, 70.
Yep.
80.
Beyond. 100%. In fact, it gets more important the older you get. I mean, much more important. There's much more at stake the older you get, for sure.
Yeah, and I think if you were like procrastinating starting with your health journey, it's like, well, it's only going to get harder, or you know, it's only. So in that regard, if you're like sitting there kind of going, I'll sort it out later, or look at it another time, it's like, well, you probably want to start earlier rather than later because it is easier to start. Now, and it's better for you long term.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, like. Yeah, to the young adults that are listening, maybe you're not married, maybe you don't have kids yet or anything like that, but one day you will. Yep. You know? And what kind of example are you going to set to your spouse or to your kids? What kind of healthy habits are you going to bring into your family? Yeah. It's you better to start now for your own self and for the future people in your life and establish those habits now.
Yeah, great.
So good.
I can't wait to see like a bunch of young adults kicking their goals, feeling really good, feeling energized, and like just splashing that out onto other people around them.
Absolutely.
Modeling this like great health for the start of 2023.
Definitely.
And not just the start. Let's see it into the year, which I think will set everyone
check in
up.
with people every couple of weeks or months.
But no, that's amazing. Thank you so much, John, for all your wisdom today. It's been fantastic. No, and I think if anyone has any questions, as always, like you can reach out in the comments or DM us on our social media pages, because you know we've got access to great people like John who can actually continue to answer your questions if they're quite specific.
Sure.
So but thanks guys. We really hope this blesses you and that you're able to set some amazing goals for your personal health, and we're really keen to hear how that journey goes. We'll see you next time.
See you around.